Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Living Well or Trying to. I'm your host, Janet. Today's episode is the second part of a conversation that I had with Dr. Felice Chan, who is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. She practices right here in Los Angeles, California. If you haven't already, check out the first part of our convo where we talked about how she got into this type of medicine, her interesting experience growing up in Hong Kong, but as an Asian American woman. And also she is a twin, which I think is pretty fascinating. And we talk a little bit about not only practicing medicine, but the skincare company that she runs with her sister. Some of that we get into more detail in this episode. We also talk about gut health and how in traditional Chinese medicine, there's the benefits of eating hot foods versus cold foods, which I think is really interesting, especially if you are someone who is in California, Los Angeles. A lot of the kind of like health and wellness stuff is all around cold smoothies, raw foods, things like that. So she offers really good and fascinating information that I would love for you to think about and try out for yourself. But yeah, check out the episode. I hope you like it. And if you haven't already, you can listen to the first part, maybe do that first and then come back for the second part, or you could just listen to this one and then go back for part one. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much. Protein is like kind of like overly emphasized right now in the health and wellness space. What's your kind of take on protein and like how much should someone be consuming?
Yeah, it's interesting because in Chinese medicine nutrition, it's less about the grams and how much someone should eat because, again, everyone's different.
Yeah.
It's more so eating intuitively. And when we think about protein in a Chinese medicine standpoint, we love the red meats, right? We love a variation of protein. And I'm sure you know when you have a beef and broccoli stir fry, right? When I ate it growing up with my family, it'd be one dish in the center, it's family style, and I would have a little bit of it. I'm not eating a 8-ounce steak,
Right.
as a teenager, but I'm eating, maybe bites here and there. But it's about the consistency of it and actually how much my body can process. And in terms of protein in the morning, it's really important for cortisol, for women especially. And it just gives us energy. It keeps us full.
Yeah. Do you have any patients who are like plant-based, and how do you kind of your perspective on that?
Yeah, there are some people who can do it. I would say a majority of people who are plant-based who come see me, a lot of their issues are because they're plant-based. So it's really educating and incorporating other ways for their bodies to get the iron that they need, the B12 that they need through different herbs, right? So Chinese medicine herbs, yes, we have the formulation side of it where there's 10 to 15 herbs that people will taste. They're like, this is gross, it's bitter, I don't know what it is. But in a sense, it's just roots, leaves, bark, whatever it is, dried and, pulverized and put into capsules, or you put it into water and drink it, or you boil it in a tea. And then the other portion of herbs where herbs are food as medicine, right? It's the goji berries, the jujube dates, those trends on TikTok right now. But what is it actually doing for the body? And so when people who are plant-based or vegan, for example, and they're not getting enough iron or B12, jujube dates and goji berries are awesome because in Chinese medicine, they tonify, nourish the blood. And so what are important components of the blood? It is the iron. It is the B vitamins.
Yeah. So it's good to know that there are plant-based options, but I thought it was interesting that you said a lot of your patients that come see you, like the issues are because they're plant-based. I think that is something, there was a period where I practiced like a more plant-based diet, and I feel like for a couple of years it worked well, but then I don't know if maybe that's like your body can also change as you age.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Also, like I felt like maybe it works for like a year or two, but then for extended period of time, like your body could respond differently.
And it's just educating about. Also, everyone's really cautious about the environment and animals, but how can you, source great protein from good farms that treat them ethically? But how can we have this, beautiful exchange of, okay, at least Chinese culture and, in Hong Kong and China, being plant-based or vegan or vegetarian is not common because it's not the cultural norm, But everything is fresh. You get it from a farm. It's very different than the food system here in the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that probably shows up a lot in what you see in your patients.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also something that, again, how I mentioned Heather, my twin sister, and I, we came to the U.S. And yes, we did come for summers, but moving here since high school, it was a culture shock initially. And I think a lot of it was the food. growing up in Hong Kong, my parents would go to the wet market every day. They would get the fresh vegetables, a fresh meat, go to the butchers. But it's a big wet market where everything is there. You can get your live fish swimming. You can get chicken that was live earlier in the day. You get the vegetables that were picked off the farm the day of. It's just a really different system. And I feel so blessed that was how I grew up, where, yes, we had the family style meals. We had the whole foods. And my parents were really wonderful because they emphasize nutrition. But it's also how they grew up. It's how Asian culture, I think, emphasized family gatherings, dinner time. It's it was so special to us. Whereas here, that's almost lost in translation.
Where do you personally kind of like shop and get your groceries?
Oh my gosh, all over. I'm not the best for this. I love my farmers markets when I have time to go. But it's expensive. I think what's sometimes frustrating to me is that the best foods are not accessible for most of the people living here in the United States. There's a reason why fast food is so prevalent in certain areas of the United States, because it's cheap. It's, you go to Costco, you go to Walmart, you go to Sam's Club, and the cheapest things come in bulk and everything is processed. It's shelf stable. But our bodies aren't supposed to be eating that constantly.
It's like a frustrating thing to observe. And I'm sure as a health practitioner for you, it's even more so.
But I feel blessed to be in LA where Whole Foods are very accessible. And you can do it.
I would love to talk a little bit more about Moonbo now, the skincare brand that you co-founded with your twin sister. How did that come about?
It's so interesting because Heather, my twin sister, has a background in private equity and mine is medicine. And so a couple years ago, we finally were just like, okay, let's start something. We've always wanted to do something together. I mean, we're best friends. I mean, I talk to her 24/7. We shared the same room for 18 years. We ended up going to the same college. It wasn't planned. And then we ended up living together for 3 of the 4 years because it was so easy. I'm like, I don't have to,
you
worry.
Just know me. I know
I'm
you.
just like, I don't have to think about that aspect. So we're very, very close. But we are yin to each other's yang. We're complete opposites. We're identical, but how we see the world and go about the world, very different. And so we're like, okay, let's just combine our expertise and create something that is so beautiful, but also shares our culture, which is Chinese medicine. How can we share a medicine that really impacted us? And skincare was something that we chose because skin is the biggest organ on the body. It's a representation of what's happening inside. And as we talked about, the gut is really central to health. And Heather experienced gut issues, and I actually experienced really bad acne issues in my mid-20s because, again, being the U.S., getting off 10 years of birth control. And so to us, we're like, how do we share Chinese medicine on a wide scale? And skincare and beauty made the most sense because everyone loves it. It's effective. And so we decided to create a skincare that is traditional Chinese medicine inspired. We have a lot of Chinese medicine herbs in the skincare that is amazing for the face, but all these herbs we also ate and drank in teas growing up. And we've been doing that, ever since we were young, but it's been in the culture for over 5,000 years. And now modern medicine is finally catching up to say, oh, chrysanthemum on the skin is awesome. It's anti-inflammatory. It's high in beta carotene, but also it's amazing internally. We drank it at dim sum. So everything is finally connecting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, have there been any challenges in trying to communicate Eastern concepts to like a Western audience?
Oh, 100%. That's the biggest problem we're trying to solve right now, right? For skincare and finding that white space. And why is there that white space now? There's, a handful of Chinese medicine brands out there, but nothing like Moonbo, where we are trying to share it with the younger generation because it's tied to Chinese medicine and it is so hard to grasp. So our biggest goal is education. How can we share this to make it digestible? And we always say that Chinese medicine comes in 4 pillars, right? We have the acupuncture and the meridian energetic system of how most people find acupuncture in the US, but you have to have that disposable income and time to go get acupuncture. So how do we target, the Gen Zs or millennials or younger millennials to actually say, hey, that's great for you. But, through Moonbo, we can share it through the other 3 pillars. We share it through Buddhist medicine, right? With every order, we send a chrysanthemum flower to encourage people to drink a tea and put on skincare. So it becomes more of a ritual rather than let me do this and be stressed about it because I know it's good for me. And then through herbs as well, all the herbs that we educate about that you can eat, incorporate in food, but it's in our skincare itself. And then the lifestyle of it, and just the difference in, all the grandmothers that I used to grow up with, they were doing Tai Chi and Qigong every morning. They're very intentional with the movement. They're not stressed. And how do you incorporate that into a Western, go, go, go mentality?
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the examples of ways that you've tried to kind of like make it more palatable?
Yeah. I mean, it's, little content bursts out there of like,
Mm,
chrysanthemums are hero ingredients. So we say, hey, like, why is this a flower that everyone should know about? And why has it existed in one part of the world for thousands of years?
mm,
And how can we translate that? It's like chrysanthemum has this and this and this,
yeah.
and from a science background, but
Mm,
then also incorporate the Chinese medicine words because most people don't know what qi is or jing or shen.
right. Right.
Um, community events are really wonderful and powerful.
Yeah.
That's what we've been doing a lot for the past few months is educating.
Yeah.
And I think it's a whole new, perspective that people are really open to and find fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, and LA is the best place to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are open-minded.
So you work with your sister on this, but
Yeah.
you are you're a physician and a business or physician founder, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that poses like, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know how you have enough hours in the day. Like, how do you balance
I'm
your
just like,
time? Yeah.
oh my goodness, this is a great question that I ask myself all the
Yeah.
time. I think at the end of the day, I feel grateful where I'm at a spot where I've built a team. It's building a team and building people you trust.
Yeah.
And again, we only have so many hours of the day. And I think, there's two aspects. Actually maybe three, there's my clinic, there's Moonbo, and then my content creation.
Yeah.
And I have support for all three. And for Moonbo, I'm so lucky to have Heather. It's her full-time job. I mean, she quit her private equity job,
Wow.
which was very stable. They call it the golden handcuffs for a reason.
Yeah,
But she's
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
not passionate. I feel burnt out. It's not
Yeah.
creative. And she's like, let me dive into this. And she's so good at the ops. She does the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time for that because when I'm in clinic, I'm fully absorbed with my patients. I can't look at my
Yeah.
phone to answer texts and, be that founder, but I can
Right.
before and after, and I can the other
Right.
days of the week. Yeah.
How do you balance the content creation side? Like,
Mhm.
or I guess maybe talk a little bit about how that happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can start there. It was not planned. As a doctor, you never think about, let me be an influencer, a content
Yeah.
creator. It was, very naturally fell into my lap because of Chinese medicine education.
Mm,
I started within a few months of opening my private practice.
yeah.
To kind of invite patients in, but also to share with the world, this is what I'm doing. And
Mm.
when I look back at some of my earliest videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cringy.
That's always the case. Though,
we
yeah.
all learn, right? But then you start to understand and figure out how to communicate such a complex medicine to a wider range of audiences.
Yeah.
And I realized that within a few months of content creation, people were fascinated. I mean, I skyrocketed in 3 months from like my 3,000 friends to over 200,000 followers,
Wow.
right? With a few viral videos. And I was like, okay, this has so much weight to it. And it
Yeah.
didn't just happen to me. There's, 3 or 4 other Chinese medicine doctors, or probably more at this point. And we all kind of follow each other. We have, we're in the same community online
Yeah.
that have all skyrocketed within the past year or two, to thousands and thousands of followers.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole new medicine that people are just like, oh my gosh, this explains why I feel this way. Even a little adjustment of, cutting out ice cold foods and smoothies have healed my bloating. It's things there where there's such a big impact, and the messages and the DMs and the comments I get, I'm like, okay, this is why I keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to help someone in Saudi Arabia who's had, fertility issues. They're just like, wow, I stuck to warm foods and I got pregnant. And I'm like, oh my goodness, from this one video I shared,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. Anyways, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And how I digest it. But yeah, content creation is great. But I do have support. I have a wonderful girl who helps edit my content and she gives me ideas, and I couldn't do it without her.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's amazing that you're able to accomplish this like mission that you have on both like a patient, like an individual level with like on an individual one-on-one level with your patients, and then also on like a broad, massive scale through the content that you create. Between the two, what like for you feels more meaningful?
It's hard to say. I mean, definitely the one-on-one, like the one-on-one
Yeah.
seeing patients, there's nothing that beats that, right? You have a space that you've developed with your patients that is so beautiful. There's so much trust there.
Yeah.
And the people that I meet, they're spectacular. I think meeting so many wonderful people are just like, oh my gosh, where did you come from? Like you have so much knowledge to share. You like it's wonderful trade that I will never give up. But also at the same time, a part of me and like part of my soul purpose and mission, I feel like, how do I get this medicine out to as many people?
Yeah.
It's just finding a balance of
The
both.
balance of the two. That's great. Well, very much appreciate that you're doing both.
Thanks.
Would love to hear you talk a bit about honoring seasonal cycles in self-care. I think this is something that you've talked about a bit.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, when we think about cycles, we can think about seasonal cycles with, our winter, fall, summer, and spring, but also as women, right? And our
Yeah.
menstrual cycles, and they're all intertwined. I guess I can start with right now, it's like summer, end of summer, transitioning into fall. So the summer months are hot, and we say it's the peak of yang. Yang is the heat,
Mm,
it's the masculine energy. It's the energy that gives us the go, 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 right? Before it starts to transition into the dryness of fall and then into the dormancy of winter,
mm,
right? So, how does that actually play with our energetics, how we show up in the world, but also what we eat?
right, right.
And I think, the biggest advice is eat seasonally, eat the foods that are actually growing at this time of the year because
Mhm.
they're supposed to nourish your body the way it's supposed to nourish you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of our menstrual cycle in women, if there are, I'm guessing most women listeners on this pod, interested in wellness, um, listen to your body. When we're
Mm,
menstruating, it's essentially the dormancy, and we say it's the winter time, right?
mm,
Because, menstruation, it's 4 periods. Well, it's 4 weeks in a month. And when you are tired, rest, don't push
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
It's kind of the world and the, ether telling you it's okay to rest.
Right,
Mhm.
right. I mean, with like summer specifically, as we're wrapping up into the end of
Mhm.
summer, there's the food, but are there other components to lifestyle that are a good thing to practice during this time? And then maybe thinking ahead to fall, what are like kind of good practices to put into place?
Yeah, I think the energetic portion of it is, we are at the end of summer. It's the hottest of the hot and getting dry. So, how can we nourish ourselves with the food, but
Mm,
also the rest?
yeah, yeah.
It's people might start to feel burnt out, extra thirsty because they're sweating more.
Mm,
And it's just being intuitive.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It is definitely very hot in LA. So,
Yeah.
what about the fall season that's coming up?
Because again, fall is dryness. It's funny with every season you start to see, at least in clinic, we see patients that come in for the seasonal issues, right? It's the
Yeah.
seasonal flus or, the heat wave or just feeling extra hot and thirsty in the summer, but also the dryness. People will start to develop, more coughs, more lung
Mm,
issues. So how can we prep ourselves for it? And in
mm.
Chinese medicine, food is a huge component. So, growing up, we always drank pear tea.
Oh, pear
Yeah,
tea.
because pear is really, really nourishing for our throat and lungs,
Mm,
to make sure that we hydrate enough.
yeah, yeah.
Um, eating more yin nourishing foods because yin is the opposite of yang. Yin is
Mm,
the fluid in our cooling system.
yeah.
Things like Japanese sweet potatoes or
Mm,
mung beans are cooling and nourishing for the yin, things like that.
amazing.
Hmm.
I would love to hear you talk a little bit about the how you see TCM developing in the future. Like we talked about,
Hmm.
you feel like your content, the content of other people have kind of blown up in the last year or
Yeah.
so. And we've also talked about how just in general, it's becoming more widely accepted
Hmm.
within pop culture, within general like medical
Yeah.
systems. Where do you see things moving, even like moving forward?
Yeah, I think there's a wonderful trajectory. I mean, it is the fastest growing alternative medicine right now in the
Yeah.
US, and in the Western world. Um, I think, there's one side of it where I think people are feeling frustrated with some parts of the Western medical system. I
Yeah.
think people are more intuitive with how they're treating their body. They don't just want a pill to subside a headache. They just really want to understand why is this happening.
Yeah.
And I think that widespread curiosity is really pushing forward Chinese medicine.
Mm.
Um, and then there's the whole political side of it of insurance and whatnot. We don't have to get into there, but
Yeah.
that still has a lot of time to catch up.
Yeah.
Because in an ideal, perfect world, just like back in Asia, if insurance covers acupuncture, the world would be a different place. There'd be less autoimmune issues.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
I mean, my current insurance actually just started covering some acupuncture, but
That's
I know
awesome.
that it's like still kind of not fully, maybe not all insurance companies are
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
train. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a practitioner myself, I'm on the other end of it and I don't take insurance in my practice. And
Yeah.
it's hard because we go to, I went to med school and I left to build a business and to, have a patient and client base. And if I were to take insurance, I get paid $20 an hour and I can't
Mhm.
sustain a practice to then help more people out, right? So
Right, right.
how do we make that make sense for practitioners? It's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
never-ending battle.
That
Hmm.
makes so much sense. Yeah. It's a hard problem to solve, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are practitioners out there and people in the Chinese medicine field that I know personally who are amazing and, they're big lobbyists and they, know all the important government officials to get things passed and bills passed.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that'll be me one day, but it's not me at the moment.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
It's good to know that other people are fighting the fight because you can't be everywhere doing everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, all the acupuncturists would gather together and lobby and just be like, hey, we need this.
Yeah.
But, we're all trying to do our own thing and live a life as well.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions now to wrap
perfect.
things up. What is your favorite herbal tea?
Oh, chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I grew up, again, I mentioned through dim sum, and the energetics of it is that dim sum can get heavy and cloying and, greasy sometimes. And chrysanthemum is the exact opposite. It detoxes, it's cooling. It helps, it targets the liver. And so that's why it's paired with dim sum.
Right.
But I love it. It's great for the skin. It's not so cold where, it can affect someone's digestion.
Yeah.
It's yummy. It's light.
And you drink it, so you drink it warm then?
Yeah. All my teas, I don't drink cold water. All my teas are room temp or hot. I have my kettle going 24/7. But I'm also on the other aspect of it. I don't drink ice drinks. I never really have, even growing up in Hong Kong. They don't serve you ice drinks, so it's not what I'm used to.
Okay, awesome. Chrysanthemum tea. What is a self-care habit that you absolutely cannot skip?
Gua sha.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think we've talked about this, but, in Chinese medicine, gua sha is, I guess I'll explain it, for the medical standpoint, it used to be done with coins or different stones on the body, and gua means to scrape, and sha is that redness that comes out, It's almost that rash that comes out when you gua sha on the body, and so therapeutically, if I gua sha in clinic and someone has a cough or sore throat, I'll do it on the back or maybe parts of the neck, but you have to be trained for it, to release this heat and toxin. But it's kind of developed into a skincare routine and to gua sha the face, and it's less rough. I mean, obviously you don't want to be doing that to the face where, this rash or redness comes out, but how it actually activates the energetic channels, because all of the points and channels on the face connect with the rest of the body. It helps with lymph flow. It helps with what we say qi and blood movement on the face, which is really the center of longevity and health and beauty in Chinese medicine.
Amazing. And what is your kind of practice with gua sha? Is it daily? Do you do it in the morning?
I probably do it now maybe 3 to 4 times a week. It interchanges with whether I want to do it with an oil in the evening time or in the morning in the shower or when I'm washing my face. It's kind of whenever I can squeeze it in, but it feels so good. It kind of drains all of that stagnation from when I sleep in the morning, and then at nighttime, it's like a routine. I can put a yummy oil on my face. It's really great.
Amazing. You've inspired me to kind of pick this up again.
And Moonbo has an awesome beanstone gua sha that feels so good on the face.
Yes. Amazing. What is the most surprising insight from your clinical practice?
The education aspect. I mean, when, all the practitioners in my clinic, when we see patients, it's not just, someone comes in and, you kind of put needles all over them. It's, you have to educate them, and so all patients leave with a new understanding of how you can live a lifestyle that is, Chinese medicine inspired outside the clinic, because most of the healing happens outside the clinic. It's how you eat, how you go about your day. Or, are you sleeping? Do you have, a morning routine that calms your nervous system? Because if they aren't able to tackle that, they're not going to get better. Yes, Chinese medicine is so effective and they will feel better, but to get the sustained results and get to the root cause, it's a holistic medicine, meaning it's a whole life adjustment.
So well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Felice Chan.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, I mean, I'm feeling really proud to be able to share this content with everyone, because I think you've been able to, I know you do it on a day-to-day basis, but even through an episode like this, so many people will learn so much.
It means the world. Thank you.
Is there, where can our listeners find you? Where can they follow you, yourself, your clinic, Moonbo?
Thank you for asking. I share a lot of the educational tips on Instagram and TikTok as Dr. Felice Chan. And for beauty-specific and skin-specific fanatics out there, it's Moonbo_skin on both Instagram and TikTok. And then if you're curious about the clinic, it's feliceacupuncture.com.
Amazing. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Living Well or Trying to. If you don't already, please follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. It means so much to me that my new episodes will just pop up in your feed. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing, please leave a rating and review. It means so much for a small content creator like myself in this world that is so saturated now, to be able to have some feedback from all of you. As always, I so appreciate you. Thank you for lending me your ears, your eyes, your presence, and your attention, especially in today's world when there are so many other places that you could be giving it to. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to catch you on another episode.